Welcome everyone to our More Life channel here. How it started with one tiny little 120 MHz Pentium 25 years ago, IDT WinChip, 240 MHz, eventually an Athlon, eventually some iBook, and now not only an Octane but also an Sgi O2. I can't believe I freaking run latest Linux on my affordable, long-awaited pandemic purchase some years ago, Sgi O2. I waited a decade to finally find, 3 years ago in the pandemic, an affordable model. I have it here already for some years, more on the More Life channel there previously. I finally got it to work, surprisingly stable. It is a nearly last MIPS 64-bit Sgi highest end 400 MHz workstation that always was set to be unstable. It mostly works, so of course we had to patch, quirk and guru meditate and patch it, of course. Just mainstream is too broken, does of course not work, but welcome to my life a weekend later, and we have it running with Xorg, with Window Maker, lovely Xterm. That's all I need for my VI goodness. And welcome everyone. Some More Life development. Usually we do this more on the More Life channel. However, the YouTube algorithm is currently promoting some of our previous live streams a little bit more. And when I live stream on the for that intended secondary More Life channel, then we upset the YouTube algorithm, and I can't afford to lose that views. So a little bit after work development here. We are also building Sile. Of course, this stuff is not the fastest anymore. And we will also, of course, remote log into the Ryzen for some more speedy work, because as you know, our to-do is 100, our to-do is 1,000 lines long. So we better get to work. Of course, you can fully, like if you wondering why, maybe the only reason, of course, is because it puts a smile on my face and makes me really happy. Nothing like 25 years before Apple unified hardware, OpenGL, 64-bit goodness, long before others, Intel went 64-bit or hardware GL. These are just amazing machines, and probably I should open an appropriate museum anytime soon. Of course, daily driver, 25 years later, not anymore, except if you use it as a thin client like I currently do. And then of course it's perfectly doable. Right now the machine is building stuff, as you see. Window Maker built, actually after step fails, Window Maker built in 53 minutes. And when you're wondering why is this stuff so slow, of course 25 years ago, when this was state of the art in the year 2000, released in 1996 or so, with only 195 or so megahertz. The highest end spec this year shipped in the year 2000, the last of its kind. And back in the day, of course, this was state of the art. For example, I read that a lot of TV stations, weather channels and whatnot used this Sgi O2 or the rack-mounted version for many years, until full HD TV became standard for broadcasting, for all kind of green screen effects, weather announcement and other news and other shows and stuff, and other 3D modeling and so like. Yeah, it was highest. And if you're wondering why is this stuff so slow, it's mostly that GCC became so freaking slow. I would not. Also, the Linux kernel is running with some speculative load and store mitigations, which probably don't cost that much performance. But as seen on other previous videos, Sgi, Octane, Sun and stuff, and even a freaking Intel Pentium Pro, if not Itanium and all the other good stuff, even latest and greatest RISC-V stuff builds simply slow. Like I can, of course, snappily move here an Xterm around. Moving Xterm around is snappy. Theoretically, shell like subscribe. Theoretically, we could implement hardware GL for that if we ever wanted to. Which probably sometime between now and my retirement I would probably do, just for kicks and giggles. So yeah, GCC is just freaking slow. My ballpark estimate is GCC became like 20 in the year 2000. GCC 295.3 or so was latest. Eventually GCC 3, and since then my ballpark estimation, I probably benchmark that soon. I benchmarked that around 2006 or so, which also is a long time ago, but approximately 10% performance. Like every GCC GNU compiler collection generation, each time generating a little bit better code, but at a cost of my ballpark figure, approximately 10% per GCC major version. So we have 10% nearly every other year or so. So probably stuff built 3 times as fast. So in the year 2000 natively on this machine, this GCC 295.3. And of course, software was less bloated, right? So window maker probably half the size or plus all the system headers and stuff. You didn't have asynchronous I/O, you didn't have GCC libIO uring and all the other security protocols and then. So yeah, probably stuff easily like GCC 3 times faster easily or whatnot, plus half as large code base. So probably I would not be surprised if, like, we probably could do that, right? Share, like, subscribe. We could do so many amazing things, and I will benchmark GCC soon on an x86-64, right, AMD Ryzen. But for kicks and giggles, we could actually compile even an old glibc and GCC, like I previously done. I've previously 3 or 4 years ago installed an old Rock Linux 1.4 whatever in QEMU. That was, of course, compiling stuff like core utils. Like, yeah, back in the day, core utils had a dozen of files, not hundreds. And so as previous Rock Linux x86 QEMU example, of course, stuff was multiple orders of magnitudes faster, but yes, less features, less security protocols like SSL and stuff. Anyway, it's usable today. Also, don't overspend, right? Like Sgi O2s, like this Sgi O2 easily goes for $1,000, if not $2,000. Some crazy people even want $5,000, $10,000 or $15,000. Of course, I'm not that crazy. I got this for a fraction of that, and including the matching, very rare SGI 1600 SW display. So don't overspend. I waited 10 years and I didn't need that, right? I'm not running a museum. I'm not running a standard definition TV broadcasting. I could wait 10 years. It wasn't a priority. Ironically, I did not even want the R10K processor because previous video on the Mormon channel that has massive problems on this non-cache current Sgi O2, which is why Linux was never stable, except my Linux node somehow with all the work in there. Mostly so far as I can see, it was up over the weekend for 8 hours here and there, and it is up today for most of the day of 6 hours or so, compiling window maker and stuff. So yeah, I wasn't in a hurry, and like, don't overspend, right? For example, the other day I wanted to auction an Apple G4 Xserve because I got an Apple G5 Xserve for €6.90. Yes, €6, because it had the defect PSU, which I could service and repair. Hey, so €6.90 is a fair price. Okay, I would probably spend €50 for an Apple G5. But I also wanted an Apple G4 Xserve in my collection just because maintaining Linux distribution stuff. And very rare. And I thought like, hey, I mean, the eBay auction was at €100. I thought like, hey, I get it for €100. I thought like €100, a little bit much. I got an G5 for €6.90. So like, okay, €100, maybe still a fair price, whatever. But someone bid really more than I. I don't know which person. I mean, I thought like €100 kind of waste of money. I don't really need it. I have a G4 Cube and stuff, like just for YouTube, my T2 hardware collection stuff. Like, which crazy people bid 150 or so euros? Like, even I, as a YouTuber and running a company, even I would not want to spend €150 for an G4 Xserve. But leave in the comments below. Also, I waited 5 years for, I recently got an PowerVR PCI card, PowerVR PCX2 for less than €150. People spend 200, 300, 500. Like, what is wrong with all your people? It is a relatively pointless video card, and even like it's basically only for YouTubers and Linux open source rarity vintage code keeping alive people like myself. And even for me, like, I don't bid more than €100 for freaking PowerVR PCX2, right? I don't know. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're a DOS gamer and you only want this card, okay, fine, €150, but like, wait 5 years, you get it for cheaper. And ironically, I wanted probably to say, I did not even want it at R10K, R1012. This is the R12K CPU because of the random, or not random, on this unstable load store speculation stuff. So ironically, I got the Sgi O2 cheap that I did not even want. I wanted a R5000 or so for Linux stability, but given that the stuff builds 53 minutes, I make 3 crosses in the calendar and knock on wood or toss a coin for some gods of the universe that I did not spend hundreds of euro on a even slower R5K. Like, yeah, don't spend this money. It's even for me, it's borderline, and I'm actually considering, is it worth to ship? That is the thing, right? In theory, it would make sense to ship an older GCC for vintage architectures, but do we really want to ship like in GCC? Like, how does it look? Like, you download T2 for MIPS for Spark, and then you get some decade-old GCC just because it builds a bit faster. Maybe not. So that is also why in T2 Linux we cross-compile everything, right? So that normally you would not need to, like, we could cross-compile Window Maker, all the base ISO is cross-compiled, so I don't need to wait a year to compile all this. My Ryzen builds this in less than 2 hours. It's just that the base ISO doesn't have that, and actually some other stuff I actually dedicatedly cross-compiled for this Sgi O2, which is not in the current release ISO. Anyway, long story short, I emerged Perl, like Perl built in, if you want another data point, which of course posted on our Discord channel, our ADM, so Perl built in 3 hours or so. 3 hours 28 to be precise, and that is without LTO, right? I built Lua, I believe Lua built in 12 minutes, or 12-30 minutes, Lua, which usually builds in some seconds, right, on a Ryzen. 12 minutes with LTO, 6 minutes without LTO, so I disabled, so this stuff is without LTO, so maybe with LTO it would build in 6 hours, I don't know, 6 hours. Anyway, do we have Sil now? Hey, we have Sil, even works, so Sil on a, yeah, some NeoFetch for some good measure, right? Also, I patched, and that is also the thing, right? Now the year after 25 years running a AAA Linux distribution, which increasingly gets fans and YouTube spectators and stuff, and vintage and retro fans and stuff, we can do the nice things, right? We can spend, like, the more you like subscribe, we can spend a weekend of guru meditating. Like, I had to patch speculative load store mitigations. I even had to patch the frame buffer. Also, there's tons of stuff to send upstream, right? So your share, like and subscribe, sponsors, open source development. I fixed some SCSI locking, some FBIO2 crime locking, previous video, right? Locking is minor, but nonetheless it was randomly mangled. Or not randomly, it was mangled. So the locking of the news kernel is mangled, recurring theme rights, only constants change, and Linus Torvalds breaking his stuff. I fixed the frame buffer driver, this O2 frame buffer driver. It did work, but only by pure chance, and it did not allow X to start. Like, if you would have used the user space, like if you use mainline Linux on a R5K or patch it, like, obviously Linus Torvalds Linux kernel does not run stable on an R10K or R12K like this. Of course, this is my additional work in this year and day, and in T2, freaking amazing Linux, right? Also, yes, I need to switch to dark theme. Of course, there's stuff to upstream. I'm surprised how stable it is, because like for decades, every MIPS developer, this is not stable, don't touch it, it does not run Linux, like R10K, R12K, is like R12K, R12. Yes, other people have proof of concept stuff, but here we are, the only ones who keeps the stuff alive. And I had to fix the frame buffer. There probably, I mean, other people had X proof of concept running on this, so I believe, due to the only recurrent criticism of mine, the only constant is change in Linus Torvalds regressions, most likely this frame buffer broke user space frame buffer mapping functionality as required for frame buffer background stuff, frame buffer terminals, frame buffer image viewers, or Xorg server on frame buffer. And took me a whole day yesterday, like basically I debugged this 8 hours yesterday, as seen on our Discord channel. And yeah, so really stupid DMA mapping, physical address pointer confusing stuff. That is a recurring theme of Linus Torvalds breaking his APIs for performance and innovations, like here, and then every stuff, like basically everything we unpack and test here is broken, whether it's Sunblade 1K, SCSI, and this and that, and frame buffer, Sun Spark Station frame buffer broken, so only constant is changed. Like this frame buffer broken, upstream, like P3 every year broken. Yeah. Anyway, share, like and subscribe if this makes you smile as well, and allow me to find even more time to even send this up to, because I said it before, fixing, like debugging this 8 hours and then sending it upstream, like easily 30 minutes with writing, like polishing the patch, writing boilerplate there, writing a preface, just looking up the right email addresses, and then often the patch is ignored, pinging, then often like style, like reformatted, like so often like, can you please format the text, like the Linux kernel developers even complain how I quote this, right? Like I send stuff upstream, we don't use 7-digit hashes anymore, can you make it 11 or 12 hashes? Like dude, it's like, okay, fine, I get your points, the hashes collide now in the Linux kernel, like due for some vintage stuff. Okay, anyway, long story short, it is amazing. It makes me so happy. It's like all this negative stuff, like no, if it's amazing stuff, it brings a smile on my face. And that's the thing, right? This is what modern computers usually don't like. Sure, epic thread wrapping Ryzen is fast and stuff, but it's not as cute and beautiful looking as the precious little user-friendly comic strip O2. Anyway, we have plenty of comments. Maybe I probably should take a quick look. Not to, it's like, it is so amazing that you are here with us to enjoy this. I'm seriously concerned. Probably in the long run, I should open a museum here as well, that people can see it as well. And also, that is why I did the YouTube channel, to share this, right? Other people, otherwise it's just getting dusty collecting dust in the attic or garage or stuff, or even worse and rusty. And I really appreciate keeping this stuff alive and sharing it here. And maybe the more you share, subscribe, maybe we can open a museum here, like the retro cave there in the UK. That would make me even more happy. Yeah, Sgi O2, Sgi Octane, Sunblade, and other fun stuff working here. Let's get some, like, what I actually wanted to do, like 20-minute summary, right? Like, but that's the thing, I just did so much stuff, right? Load store mitigation, speculation, frame buffer, like, yeah. Burly Bear designed the Opel stand on IAA 1997 Frankfurt am Main Cat Life Design Studio, where the Italian Opel designers showed their work using Sgi O2. That is amazing. I actually did, I said this before, I didn't work on SGIs, but I worked on AutoCAD. The video of some clickbait videos there is actually me when I was 18 years ago, on a Pentium Pro workstation. Of course, that at the time state of the art in this shabby looking German business thing there. And that was really me on a Pentium Pro. AutoCAD initially, when I was a trainee there, AutoCAD 13, AutoCAD 14, and I worked on stuff like, when you say Opel, I worked on huge drawings for Opel Rüsselsheim, I believe, some new Opel Rüsselsheim, whatever building that was. I worked on layouting stuff for the central bank. Was it in some central bank, something in Lower Saxony, in Braunschweig, and similar such stuff that were and also on actually some later, after I was training, I was on there following gymnasium, like after my trainee time there, I actually also layouted some cleanroom stuff, but that was not chip manufacturing, it was some medical. I don't remember, 20 years later, I don't remember whether it was. But yeah, so I even layouted some AutoCAD 14. Was it AutoCAD? Maybe it even was in AutoCAD 20 or whatever that was, 2000. I even layouted some cleanroom stuff. Go figure. So yeah, also did some stuff, but that was on regular PCs, obviously, because normal design stuff, even high-end company stuff, they used Pentium Pros, right? They used Windows, and not this. And that's crazy, right? This hardware probably spec'd $20,000 US, right? It's the highest end configuration plus some hefty memory, half a gig of memory. I didn't find the list price. Other stuff was 10, 15, depending later, sales discount and stuff, but that is the last time. It would not surprise me if this was approaching $20,000 US when new in the year 2000. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't find precise data. Anyway, Douglas sent the first contrib patch to T2. Just a question, should I attach the patch file and the comment on the email body? I accept everything. I'm not as, because it really, this nitpicking really pisses me off. Just send it somehow nowadays, because even I preferred inline, but basically it doesn't matter. Send it somehow, even like I'm not a, not to use inappropriate names here. Just send it somehow. Accept anything, like send it how it's convenient with you. The only thing is nowadays, and that annoys me also, when inline patches are white space mangled. So while historically, like 20 years ago, when I used X, Emacs and Mu, inline patches were fine. I even recently sent a patch to David S. Miller or others, P3. Like I sent multiple patches, and I even have nowadays Emacs, because Mu dropped. So I still have a Mu Emacs configuration just for that. Otherwise I use Thunderbird or Apple Mail. Which Apple Mail is, it's also hilarious, right? Why do Apple Mail and even Thunderbird, you would think that Thunderbird was all the, like maybe there's a configuration, but by default they all mangle white spaces. Like why? Right, that's like beyond my, anyway. So due to that, better attach it. Otherwise I don't really much care, but I even manually fix up white space mangle, because like basically if I reply that is white space mangled, it takes me the same time as just fixing it. Like Linus Torvalds and friends would of course like, it's white space damage, send it again and send email and stuff like, just if it's small, I even fix white space damages. But it's amazing that you want to send the first patch. Some question about the work. Very interested in kernel system programming. Do you think should study XV6 OS from MIT? So I would need to Google that. XIV6 MIT or XV6, what even is that? I have no idea. Okay, reimplementation of Danny Richardson Thompson's Unix version. I mean, maybe the benefit, I've not looked at this, but probably it, maybe that or Minix, maybe that is, yeah, something of that it could be a good choice, but I've not looked into that. Otherwise, yeah, Minix, but Minix is also, I said it before, a little bit old-fashioned. So yeah, something of that is probably a good choice. Otherwise, I would probably research, I would need to research myself which books are recommendable. Because the Minix book is a little bit old and probably a little bit too old-fashioned in this day and age. Roboman asks, are there updated 2 ISOs built for O2? I remember trying it out a few years ago and have troubles getting it running. Switch back to OpenBSD. So yeah, the problem is, I said this in the previous live stream, supporting this SGI machines is a pain. I kind of thought I should make a dedicated video. The long story short is no, the T2 default ISOs are built for Octane, because until recently Octane was the best MIPS SGI machine I have. Theoretically I was donated some 3 years ago an Origin 200, which I also have here, which I have test installed T2, which I don't basically use the most, but appreciates the hardware donation nonetheless. Certainly better here than in some garages and attics. The problem with this is IP27, I believe, IP30, IP32 for Origin 200, Octane and O2. The problem with that is that all are so different that neither IRIX nor Linux does support multi-arch, so all of them need to be built, so the kernel needs to be built specifically for that combination. And then even, I said this the other day on the More Live channel, for O2, theoretically for O2, due to the non-cache coherent processor differences and so R5K is not, which by the way, do you have R5K or R10K? Probably R5K, right? The problem is that O2 is not cache coherent, unlike other machines, like most other x86 and other SGI machines. Only cache not cache coherent were IP28 and IP32, and for R5K it doesn't matter because it's not speculative executing. R10K was the first speculative executing processor, MIPS processor, maybe even nearly first processor at all. And so we would need even 2 kernels, right? We would I don't know if, okay, I don't have an R5K, but if the kernel, probably it would not build because we build, but so either we would need to build a really Frankenstein kernel of like lowest common denominator with R12K load store, speculative load store mitigation, which probably hurt your performance on R5K, if it even works there, I don't know, I would need to research that. So yeah, either we would even need to ship 2 kernels for O2. And that's also the thing, right? Why, like and that's the thing, do I do a kernel, like even if I would put extra effort into building 3 architectures, like building the bloody kernel 3 times for all the different, which is stupid, right? It's like, yeah, but it is what it is. If I would have been SGI, I would have made the stuff more compatible, but somehow each time they started like SGI, it looks to me like with a clean sheet of paper, only taking the least necessary stuff over, and each time redesigned the whole system for the highest performance they could possibly get out of their large scale integration ASICs, application specific ASICs back in the day, which kind of makes sense if you want the highest, like most highest performance yet highly expensive machines, but nothing is freaking compatible, right? The bus, the chipsets, like nothing is compatible, and that obviously totally hurts support. And even if I would build 3, and the logical choice would be to build O2 for R5K, because it's probably the most common option there, it would not be what I have, right? So if I build the most common ISOs already with 3 bloody kernels, it would not include what even I have on my desk, right? And then if I would include what is on my desk, which is R10K, then it's that snowflake combination that very few other people have. So yeah, or I then build the kernel 4 times. Plus, of course, not even covering all the other IP 22 and 23 and 25, not even to mention Tezro was never Linux supported and stuff, and Indy and Indigo, and which all I don't even have. Hardware donations welcome. Not that I would actively look for that, but if you have stuff in your basement and otherwise collecting dust, you can also donate it here. I will probably dust it off, make a YouTube video and try to support it or whatever. Anyway, long story short, it's like, yeah, it's not trivial answers, right? Like to explain it, it's like 2-3 minutes gone just to summarize this stuff. Anyway, leave in the comments below which you have. But what I usually do then is what we also could do is we could build the ISO. Maybe it would make the most sense to build the ISO with a generic QEMU compatible like Malta or whatever, like Malta development board ISO, so that it works in QEMU. Maybe that would make the most sense as more and more people start to use T2 for continuous integration, even MIPS and all the other architecture virtualization reasons, even or emulation things with QEMU. And we, like the ISO has one generic architecture, and then we release additional patch sets of like additional like kernel image of this is MIPS64 and like generic for QEMU, and if you run it on real hardware, then you download the 40-50 megabyte of IP 27.8 3032 ISO. Maybe that would make the most sense, despite I still need to build the shit, and it's like, but anyway. So yeah, old Bunny Bear. So like quick go. I mean, I wanted, so that's the thing, right? I make a YouTube video to finance my open source work, and then I wanted to get some work done, and then 30 minutes O2 talk. I mean, maybe we should leave it here and go now over to Twitch, not to disturb. So that would probably the smartest business decision of. That was a summary. The work we wanted to do, we could continue on Twitch now, which probably share, like, and subscribe. There's also Twitch, which we started to, not Twitch, actually. Channel, right? Oh, right, I googled this. This is also wrong. Right, I think I have this on Twitch, which probably was not smart, but it is what it is. This is also not me. Why is this not me? 1 minute while I try to find my own. Probably that one. Come on, this is also dash code. Nothing like. Okay, fine. It is, at least it's this one. This is of course nothing like leaking your dash code here. Go back to Twitch, maybe. Oh. Yeah, I'm not the greatest fan of Twitch. Anyway, here it is. I'm not sure why the other didn't. Anyway, so something of. Ah, darn. Why is? No, I did not copy that. Didn't copy that enough of. Internet, modern internet, difficult. Is this me? Not sure what different. So that is me. Not sure what other slightly similar thing was there. Probably that would make the most sense to maximize here impact and views and stuff. Question there, strange question. Do Radeon Mesa kernel drivers build for R12K? Yes, they do. They build, I believe. Most stuff builds, but I recently tested for science because a viewer asked. A viewer has a Sun UltraSpark T4-2. I have a T4-1, so that is a 2-height bigger server a viewer has. And I was curious myself, but they also asked to put a PCIe graphic card into there. I tried that with even probably two different, but it did not work on the Sun T4-4. It saw that the driver started to work, but it failed with PCI errors with a workstation like Radeon WX 3100 or something of that sort. So yeah, similar like on RISC-V, it may or may not work and have some glitches due to mapping and whatnot. So yeah, let's see there. Last comments before we get some work done. Old vinyl record player only listens to old vinyls from the time. Stupid to buy new record players for what? My old vinyl record player, I only listen to old vinyl from that time. Stupid to buy new record player for new. I don't like new vinyl. I find it pointless. I rather buy high resolution flex from 7 Digital, previous video, not a paid advertisement. I find modern vinyl had. I don't get this analog charm. I mean, I get, like, I even have some vinyls, like ironically some metal vinyls, which probably I should collect at my parents'. I never had an own record player. I don't even have one in Berlin. I have some metal, I think I only have metal vinyls, like The Gathering, previous video, and some others, maybe Samuel or whatnot, Amorphis. So I probably have 5, 6, 7 records from the 90s, but not even in Berlin. But it was somehow like I tried it, like even in the 90s, like records, hype and stuff, but it's, I don't, stereo separation, signal to noise ratio, wear and flutter, it's like, give me an O2 digital. Hey, Alza works on the O2. I listened to 16-bit FLAC of Tori Amos already. Like, give me freaking high resolution FLAC file of 24-bit 48 kilohertz and stuff. Like, I find it like, I even find it even more pointless that some modern pop people mix in fake record noise. Like you license high-res FLAC and then it is fake record noise. It's like it's like so stupid. Like if I want fake record noise, and I can generate it myself locally. But anyway, yeah, I mean records. Yeah, I mean, I would say records only for old stuff. Like new stuff on record is just like, how do you want to, like you buy this record and then you can't listen it on the go on your Linux phone. It's like, yeah, or your Sgi O2. Yeah, this vinyl hype is it's a strange fake hype. But leave in the comments below. So yeah, I would say vinyl for old records and digital for new stuff. Anyway, so many questions here, and especially stuff gets long if we hang out here together, and like probably we should use here as a good time. Anything else to emerge? So I wanted to say NeoFetch is patched now, right? So this is a T2 feature that since yesterday our NeoFetch as a fallback uses a GPU from Proc FB, so that you, for your vintage systems, see a GPU indicator. What can we emerge? What we could, you know what, let's I'm probably cross-compiled socks, but you know what? Let's emerge X MMS to have a graphical MP3 player. If that probably we need an old version of GTK for that, so that probably adds GTK. So yeah, let's see if that freaking. I love this. Also, T2 improved so much over the last year's live on YouTube, right? Previously, historically, it did recompress, right, which we did for historic mirroring reasons. Which would have taken half of the time just recompressing this with set standard for pointless reasons, right? Already this is a doubling quality of life improvement with the T2 source distribution stuff. And then it's like maybe this takes 17 odd hours. Actually, I need to change that tier for some time here. Probably is, what does it want to build now? 43? Is this even computed correctly? It wants, oh wait, it did edit Mesa? Oh no, we don't want to build Mesa for, like, go figure, Mesa would build in 17 hours, maybe, if you're lucky. Missing only, I have actually on my to-do to make Emerge even more amazing. Let's hope I didn't Control-C that wrong. glibc, no, glib should still build. Yeah, I mean, I could cross-compile it, right? But I could also stability test the heck out of this speculative mitigation R12, R10K, R12K kernel. I probably wanted to say, all right, I was there in the middle of that stuff. What are your thoughts on lib hybris? No, I have not used that. What is that even? Lib hybris. Solution for... is this some glibc? What does it mean to commit hybris? Summary is strange. To use bionic-based hardware adaptation in... Is that that? If that is that, it's like, I don't... I mean, if my only opinion would be, I mean, nice to have solutions, but otherwise open source drivers and not like binary-only vendor garbage. I guess that is for using binary-only Android stuff, right? Probably, you know what, we should package that if it just package. I have no idea if this just package, but it sounds like it should just package, right? So nothing like having another to do. Actually, I have here plenty. Actually, I wanted to package stuff here today, right? It's the usual. I wanted to actually get work done, and then I make a summary so that people watch it on YouTube, and I've not even won something of getting work done. So I had that versus AutoCAD 14, yeah, something of that sort, starting AutoCAD 14. Around 14 was x86 Windows only, yeah, indeed. I probably should go and find some old AutoCAD version for Iris just because, or write my own CAD, that probably would even be smarter. Used MUD to send patches for convenience. I think it should not mingle. So yeah, the stuff like MUD and so on should not mingle that indeed, yeah. Just send it how, like, send it how you wish, and I will, like, if it, what I usually do is, as I mentioned in the beginning, I will just make it work, unless it is a total time wasting clusterfuck, and give it tips, and it's like, hey, I applied it, but next time it would be more convenient if you don't white space damage it. Study at university right now and just finish introduction architecture operating systems. Fine. Like, yeah, obviously if it comes below. By the way, if there are new if there are new books, if you watch this, if you know it today or you watch it later, if there are new amazing operating system architecture books, leave in the comments below. Can you do a setup tour video? What do you mean with that? Like setup? Do you mean T2 setup? Do you mean live Linux? I'm live streaming from Horizon, right? Like occasionally I trigger people live streaming from my Macs there at home, from my home office. But in the office I live stream from native. This is native. Oops. Also no, Where did I? Oh, right. This is here. This is right. Also, this is wrong. This is right. This is native OBS on Wayland, right? So this is a real doing the Linux desktop thing since 1998 or so thing. Like, yeah, or setup. I don't know what setup. Trap exit, right, the vinyl, not for sound quality, but the ceremony. Yeah, I would say if I would do it for the ceremony, I mean, yeah, but for old records, right? The problem is for new records, you need to license the FLAC or whatever, and then buy the physical record, which is, yeah. I would then say for the ceremony, I kinda rather would go on the reel-to-reel bandwagon. Although historically, I would even said for normal people, reel-to-reel didn't even make much sense because it was freaking expensive. But I mean, okay, I mean, on the other hand, for normal people, you buy one reel-to-reel and then you record from the radio from back in the day, which then I would say for the ceremony, I would actually say for the Pulp Fiction kind of dance in your living room ceremony thing or in your study, record your FLAC to your license, digital high-res FLAC, and record it to your reel-to-reel, and then have your reel-to-reel ceremony, previous videos, Revox reel-to-reel, which is not mine, tested, previous video. But yeah, of course it's different, but reel-to-reel also expensive. Don't SGI, eBay prices and not overpaying apply there as well. Get it as cheap as possible. If it's probably not urgent, like wait years until some affordable offer or slightly to service or whatever, if you can repair stuff. Digital trap exit writes like digital books versus physical. People interact differently with physical media. That is true. However, I mean, I also like books. Ironically, I rarely have read, except scrolling like computer standards in PDF form. Books I actually indeed read physically, which are, and that's the thing, right? When I travel, when I'm in a train, commute, or fly, or sit at home at the couch, I indeed prefer physical books, although maybe eventually soon, like I would not read them on anything else except an e-paper reader. I'm considering a Remarkable tablet, although a Remarkable, because I didn't like most e-readers anyway, also too slow and stuff. I'm kind of waiting on a Remarkable 3. The Remarkable 2 is out, which, yes, it's not really for reading, but the Remarkable otherwise, not a paid advertisement, I don't even have one, but from what I've seen in reviews and stuff, it kind of looks interesting and could fit somewhat to me, but I hope, like the current Remarkable 2 is relatively good, but a little bit aged, so I basically hope there is a significantly improved Remarkable 3 eventually. Maybe I get that also then for like maybe half of maybe reading books then and reading computer standards and taking notes, right? Like your to-do note or other business and computer stuff on your hopefully halfway snappy potential future Remarkable 3. Leave me in the comments below. However, books are easier to justify because you can easily carry books. And by the way, I could make a dedicated video about books. I wanted to make a video because there are two books I wanted to read. One is John Romero, My Life is Doom, or whatever the title is. But I really hate publishing houses that put out this, what is it, paperback, right? This hardcover books a year. Like you can for one freaking year only buy the hardcover paperback or whatever you call it. Like how stupid is that? So the brochure or whatever, the non-hardcover, whatever that is called, stuff like this, and I googled that. Historically it was always to maximize bloody profits, right? I don't want a bloody hardcover thing to travel in a train, an airplane and stuff, and so what do you have now? You have less sales. I will buy John Romero's book like 1 year later, the summer in July, when it's like 1 year later published, like nearly 1 year later published in July. It's like how stupid can publishing houses be? And the other is some publishing houses and authors don't do this. I need to check with another. Was also this Canadian astronaut, Hetfield. So Tim Hetfield? No, Chris Hetfield, something of that sort. I think he also had a new crime book or whatever. But so if you're not having a bloody hardcover, then the softcover stuff is easier to carry, right? Easier than a vinyl record or a reel-to-reel, and you can actually conveniently, and I would say you can read it more conveniently than a e-reader in a train plane. We digressed a little bit, just to add my 2 cents, as it's anyway a enjoying life with an Sgi O2. How many minutes did this build already? Probably we need a better progress indicating thing stuff. Yeah, that was long. How many people do we have tuning in here for Ask Me Anything? Gee, we want to get stuff done. So probably we quickly move over to Twitch for some 30 minutes of actually coding, which I wanted to do now, but now we talked so long. So if you have an ebook reader or Remarkable other stuff or any other Sony and whatnot stuff, leave in the comments below. I'm seriously interested in your opinion and recommendation. Vinyl Road as an analogy, putting new OS on old legacy hardware. I think would be great to have the OS and software still. It would be great to have the OS. I think it would be great. So comments, right? I read comments. OS and software for these days still running nostalgic reasons. Yeah, I only wish the bloody compiler would be faster, but I mean, you could speed it up a little bit. I mean, I built already this smartly or whatever. That's already, I mean, if you want just build a little bit faster, probably 01, like lazy 01 should be a little bit faster than this, but probably not by much. We could try to fix this for our multi-server microkernel, so vaporware system that we want to do next by writing a completely new, much simpler compiler. Like ideally something like TCC but modern and jitting or stuff, and I would really love to explore how far we can go with that. Like TCC is not the most amazingly modular, readable, high quality design. TCC is more of a quick hack kind of code, which I would not want to write my tiny little JIT compiler thingy like TCC. Although I appreciate their achievement. Just because before you say, but why don't you use TCC? Yeah, but I would want something readable, portable, and maintainably written and jitting. Although TCC can jit, right? But anyway. So the Pyrus is what operating system such as Ubuntu Touch, Jellyfish, such as a proprietary. Yeah, that's what I expected. I added it to the to-do to package it. Burly Bear writes on old i4086 hardware for CAD. It was very important to have special graphic adapters. Yeah, I know that. I didn't have that, but I saw in Berufsschule, like this practical school thing for the dual technical draftsperson stuff I had. In the school, of course, I had old stuff, so actually there I worked a tiny little bit on some not AutoCAD, on such kind of Frankenstein 486 special CAD display adapter. I don't know what CAD that was. I didn't use it much. It was annoying to use, to be frank, compared to AutoCAD. It was obviously decade older system, maybe SoftCAD or I don't know what of something of whatever. But yeah, I actually sourced some of vintage cards, so we will, like, now that T2 is amazing, amazing again and state of the art again for the most part. Hey, also glib finished in 11 minutes. I would want to create a library of small readable, as I always said, like small portable drivers, mostly for my microkernel. And I have, over the years, I had some, and I saw some more, often cheap, including some special cards. In the meantime, I have some AGX 14. I have a dead Vitek, I believe, was it? Oh no, maybe I have a Vitek 9100, maybe. But what I have is a dead T-Zeng Labs ET6000, which, because it like usually they go for 80 or 100 euro, which I find stupid. Who never spent so much for bloody T-Zeng Labs ET6000, but it was like, that one was dead, and I saw on the picture that I think it was sold as non-working, and the card looked fine, except the sticker on the BIOS was made, like on the UV erasable EEPROM. So I was like, yeah, thank you very much, it's just a dead BIOS, right? And sure enough, the card looks fine, and it PCI enumerates, and I only need to write a BIOS on this old-fashioned EEPROM, not EEPROM chip, on this UV erased EEPROM chip, and I funded Piotr Estens and White Quark and family. I crowdfunded the 1-bit squared Glasgow Interface Explorer, which is super delayed. And I wanted, because I don't have a programmer, right? I didn't want to buy a old-fashioned PROM programmer, which I otherwise really need. So I rather founded my friends. I know Piotr Esten personally, as I said previously. So I'm waiting on this open source Interface Explorer, which can also be used, can be used for everything, like auto detecting serial pins, JTAG pins, and UART pins, and programming. So basically, I wait to finally, hopefully the next month, hopefully this year, Esten, I need your Interface Explorer. So I want to, among other things, using that for all the interface exploring and actually writing a actual EEPROM, because I plugged in the card with a dead EEPROM into a PCI bus and it enumerates. Just that obviously the card doesn't post, and it's not usable by operating systems. I did not try if the Linux driver, whatever, if the Linux driver would work without. Maybe it didn't work, but anyway, it's only the PC. It looks fine. It PCI bus enumerates. It just needs a freaking BIOS, and I got it the usual for less than 10 euro, whatever. Maybe 1 euro plus shipping or stuff like. This is how you smartly source vintage and retro cards. So all the stuff we will, over the next years, write small, big. Of course, they are drivers, but they are old-fashionedly in garbage X386C. Just look on the old Xorg drivers, and you know what I mean with low quality. Actually, I wanted to finish some X386 hacks from the other day. Anyway, so yeah, if you're wondering why do I want to write new drivers, I want that people can read, actually read the drivers, not this vintage 90s and Linux frame buffer drivers, or similar 90s, even worse convoluted X386 architecture drivers, which even they have removed acceleration, right? And I want to actually put that line drawing, rectangle fill, bit BLT stuff, which X3 removes, back in a readable style, and that is my future goal, side project stuff for the next years here to come. So we will probably do 1 or 2 cards a year of Matrox here, Vitek there, and so on. I've done previously, if you're interested now, I've done proof of concept DOS just to get in this style 4 years ago, S3 Verge, 3D FX Voodoo, 3D bare metal low level in DOS just for testing. And I even, the only one outside Silicon Motion, Link 3D right on the transmitter. Efficient Crusoe Oko 1, why is this? glib 1.8 or better is required. Somehow it doesn't find glib. That is inconvenient, unfortunate. Whatever's going on there. It's testing, more testing. I thought that would all work, but somehow it doesn't find some stuff. Anyway, long story short, we have some stuff to do and some. So my point is, I digressed as usual. It's Ask Me Anything today. I wanted to 30 minutes get some code done, and 1 hour Ask Me Anything, enjoying sitting happy in front of my Sgi O2 with nice SCSI noise in the background. That's all we got today. So yeah, that is the plan, and that is the, so yeah, I have some exotic cards, including this IBM XGA partially compatible AGX 14, I believe, and just for some XGA kind of early acceleration fun, if we wanted to. So yeah, there's a Miro Tiger, 12 Spare, Tiger G. Yeah, there versus TI. I think it was TI Tiger, right? In general, what your top 3 books? That is super difficult. I don't have top 3 books of what, everything, or I will make dedicated videos, but currently I reread. But by the way, one book that really was nice to read originally was this Satomu what is it? Data Zone books. The German title sucks. The original title is what is the original title? This an original title here from this really. I read this in like 1998. Yeah, I read this when this was new, like around this time, from Tsutomu Shimomura. Original. What is the original title? From here, Kevin Mitnick, Hunting, right? This taught me a lot of what I didn't even know existed of this Unix stuff. And currently I reread a lot of the Rings to My Child because I thought, I'm not sure, maybe it's a good life hack before you read pointless Bible stuff of non-existing old-fashioned nonsense stories, not even to say cry at times with death and whatnot. Anyway, I rather figured instead of reading some nonsense text, I can also read my 3-year-old a Lord of the Rings. So that is what. But ironically, I'm not such a diehard Lord of the Rings fan. It's an okay book. I don't quite like. Leave in the comments below, that probably triggers some people, but it's an okay or good book, but I don't get the extreme overhype. I also read The Hobbit, or maybe only the second time now, also partially or mostly for my child. Actually, I even had to buy it because I didn't even have it. I read The Hobbit in the 90s from my neighbor in German, and in German it sucked. So because I didn't have this book, I brought it now in English because I only had read it once in German. And of course, The Hobbit is much more simpler, right? It's obviously that John Ronald Tolkien, that was his earlier first try. Obviously, the writing style is much more simple and different. Didn't even remember it like that. But it's like, yeah, The Hobbit is not even that good. Lord of the Rings better, but I don't get the extreme überhype that some people build around. It's like, you ask, you get a long answer. Somehow we will get nothing done and only chat today, which obviously even my tea is cold in the meantime. Maybe we should at least check what GTK plus 12 does not find. Is it possible that it's just the path of installing that? Don't tell me it's just the path of, because this is the first package in, that would be a waste of time if it would be that. Could not run the test program. It could be ldconfig, to be honest, which maybe I recently introduced. Maybe that's a new regression. Do we still have that here? This is live on the Sgi O2, right? No, I didn't build it with keeping tempo fast. That is unfortunate. The native VI 400 megahertz Vim editing speed for, actually maybe better, you know what, we better decrease it here even for memory utilization reasons. So yeah, let's maybe this is just ldconfig. It's probably let's add a to do, because otherwise like professionals add to do, right? So new ldconfig wrapper only for actually only for cross stages. I mostly did this because GCC did run ldconfig, like the host ldconfig over the cross-compiled files, which how I even noticed that. It's like, yeah, you fix one thing, like Linus Torvalds, you fix one thing in logging and break some other. It's like, yeah, at least we potentially discovered something here. I hope you leave in the comments below if you appreciate this more. Maybe I should have announced it then of ask me anything while we watch and praise our Sgi O2. Wonder this for quite a while, but is an OpenGL ES compatible layer for 2 only devices possible? I have a system that only lacks MRT on a hardware level. OpenGL S3 on 2 might be hard. I would need to. The thing is, if you software emulate stuff, things often become tricky, and you do a lot of back and forth copying, or either slow VRAM readback or copying, like DMAing stuff back and forth, and often the software emulation stuff. I mean, possible, yes, but potentially the software the performance impact might be so huge that it might be basically not worth it, except for having some stuff. But having some stuff run it all, but yeah. Leave me in the comments below. So some more comments, and then we really call it a day. Which also, like, maybe we call it now a day, or like, okay, give me a minute. One quick phone call later. It's an old Mali GPU Punfrust, doesn't support MRT emulation. The ARM blob does, but it's too old to actually use, and like I have some. Yeah, I mean, it's always possible. As I said, I mean, depending on how exactly. Yeah. Dirk says was lucky not to have to use CAT or 3 programs for DOS. Actually, I used at home, we had a backup copy of some AutoCAD, was it 3 or stuff, but I didn't use it. I only basically without, like, as a 10-year-old, without even knowing English much, and without video even. The stuff was like, remember when this stuff on some graphic card was horrible slow for some strange video BIOS reasons? So yeah, I probably, back in the day when I was 10, I only managed to load the Space Shuttle demo or stuff. What I actually used more was Harvard Graphics, that we really used to draw diagrams and vector art and stuff. But that's Harvard Graphics for those who remember DOS illustration stuff. Not to have used 3DOS and play around with Lightwave on Amiga, Alias on SGI. Yeah, Alias on SGI boxes sounds amazing. I never did this. Even recently, I didn't even have a CAT on my. Actually, the O2 came with some stuff. I should check what I find on the O2 actually on the RX. Right, one said the Hobbit book. Only I continue reading to him. So speaking of Hobbit books, so that's what you get from that. So I need to go. 3D for Ford using Ideas Master Series at Sun Workstations. That is also amazing. Actually, actually in Berlin as a student, I worked for a company. They made some plugins for IBM Kadir. So I seen that a little bit, but mostly worked on the plugin stuff that was for layouting the interior of airplanes, Airbus and Boeing, the automated seat layouting and multimedia cable and security lighting stuff. So this, like this cables and stuff would be placed according to the seat configuration and emergency exits and stuff. Yeah, but I didn't use also this IBM Kadir there that was, of course, on Windows 2000 or whatever, back in the day, or whatever was, probably something of that sort was recent then. And yeah, but this IBM Kadir stuff, why did GTK, because this is only missing, why did it not, it was only missing selected, maybe that is not, maybe we should actually build that is not ideal. I mean, because it was previously broken, maybe we should should build it because it's not built now. That makes somehow... Yeah, that is when you use your own stuff, right? Which obviously Linus Torvalds only does kernel, doesn't use his non-existing Linux distribution. There's of course a difference. If you actually use your shit, then you find bugs, even in your own amazing Linux distribution. And that is also more painful, right? Obviously, I notice different kind of bugs that are on a rise. It's like, yeah, you just built it on a Sgi O2. It's like, yeah, killing another 14, 11, 15 minutes, whatever. That was all right, GDK. Let's see how many minutes? Whoa, 1 hour. How many is that even? Some of this overflowing time stuff is still... Ah, yeah. So I probably should remove the seconds, right? I would probably agree that it's pointless to list seconds for something of 1 hour. So that is super confusing to read like that. Yeah, and I should implement days so that if you emerge big stuff, it would display you a day or two, just as an Easter egg. Okay, you think you have the most amazing Linux distribution ready, and then you install it in Sgi O2 and find a handful of fix and prove. Anyway, so yeah, there's always a win-win, even if we use old stuff, except the win of joy, additionally to the win of joy, but also actually finding some more implementation, usability marginalities in your own Linux distribution. Interior woodwork in AutoCAD 14, Windows 98, loved AutoCAD, but it really needed NT to be stable. MicroStation, Intergraph CAD for buyer, that is all amazing. I've slightly, anyway, we'll discuss this. So yeah, we're coming to an end. Finally, 1 hour Ask Me Anything, Sgi O2 appreciation and Ask Me Anything discussion, MicroStation, W95, but dear NT had to be used, dual CPU, interview, building, open metaverse podcast, Tiger, Texas Instruments. Yeah, exactly. Spec. I think this could be freely programmed. Yeah, but it's kind of I kind of have it on my eBay wish list, but I'm not spending $100 for graphic cards that you can barely use for something. And I mean, even supporting T-Zeng ET6000, ET6K, or Vitek 9K doesn't even make the most sense, except as a hobby, as enjoying it on a weekend and making a YouTube video about it. So this is kind of stuff like I have enough to if theoretically we could, for hardware 3D, so we could implement hardware 3D on the O2. I have most documentations that we would need for that. And so next also I should actually, the NetBSD people, some author there did a accelerated, even transparent X-render, I mentioned this in the previous live stream, driver. I should port the NetBSD written XF86 video crime, I believe did they name it crime? Driver. I should port that because it has net specific stuff in there. I should port that to Linux and extend the Linux frame buffer driver to expose some additional register space to be useful for that. And get accelerated, basic accelerated graphic working, so that would already be a weekend project and improve usability of this workstation even more. Theoretically, we could implement graphic, but I would not spend because the Mesa architecture sucks. I'm not writing old Mesa driver for architecture infrastructure that they removed upstream. I would write 3D proof of concept or maybe direct frame buffer proof of concept stuff because I would want to use, I said this before 3 years ago, for the S3 Verge 3DFX Voodoo and other such stuff. I would want to create a Mesa-like but more readable and hopefully higher performance code, more modern readable and whatnot, that can be used for such vintage and retro Verge Voodoo Sgi O2. I don't think I have enough information for the MGRAS impact thing here, the, what was it, Odyssey, or what was the name? One was, or it has been, anyway, whatever, the graphic I have in the Octane, I don't think I have leaked specifications for that. But the V Pro, like if someone donates me, I only need an entry level, I'm not even a V12, like an entry level V6 or what that was, V Pro V6 or so graphic. I'm not buying that for $500, but if someone has that in the garage or attic, I believe the entry level V Pro should fit my higher end Octane. There is currently no X, there is a slow frame buffer, because that is, the V Pro is OpenGL fully in hardware. Stanislav previously in 2005 or so reverse engineered that, and the Linux frame buffer driver is actually drawing all the pixels as 1 pixel GL quads, which is absolutely crazy. So the Linux kernel actually has code to draw OpenGL quads basically. So we could, with that information alone, we could write some basic driver. Yeah, the rest we probably would need to reverse engineer, but vPro should be easier than mgrass because of the full hardware, OpenGL fully in hardware nature. So it's basically directly writing numbers for GL commands in hardware, which is cool. I would love to do that. Also, currently you can't run X on that, so at least some more basic infrastructure for some image build DMA thing. So that you could at least start to run an unisolated Xorg frame buffer driver on vPro, but I'm not spending €500 or even 1,000 for a Snowflake vPro card. Only that is only if someone donates that, I will improve the Linux driver for that eventually. But yeah, that is also open source community funding and YouTube wishlist stuff is going here for this. I mean, I already bought the O2, right, and a P3 tool and stuff. Like, I can't spend all my money for exotic museum hardware pieces. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, we are through. We actually have some thousands of drop frames of Vodafone's fading Doxer stuff. That's not cool. I hope you enjoyed to learn something a little bit different of what I wanted. The usual stuff when you get carried away and enjoy your vintage hardware. Don't forget to subscribe. Should we still make some? No, we can't really. It's 9 already, 2100. So guess we do as actually code tomorrow. So don't forget to subscribe and tune in tomorrow for the actual code I wanted to do. I hope you enjoyed to learn something. As usual, enjoy and smile with your vintage collectible fun at home.